Hey guys, how you all doing? BionicleSaurus here, and in this video we are going to be taking a look at the Papo Carnotaurus. This is, with the exception of the Ceratosaurus, which I still don't have, my favorite Papo figure. I mean, this is just gorgeous. To me, the pose and the way this figure balances is just unforgettable and spectacular. It's one of those figures that someone who doesn't even collect dinosaur models could look at and just immediately tell is really high quality. I mean, the detail is, of course, wonderful. The paint job is solid, as we've come to expect from Papo. You know, all that is on the dot. But to me, what really makes it stand out is that pose, and also the fact that anatomically it's not great, but it is a lot better than what we're used to from Papo, especially back when this figure was made in, I believe, 2013. Talking about anatomy right off the bat, there aren't too many glaring issues. I will say the feet are probably a little big, and in general the legs are probably a bit too bulky. The arms, despite how short they are, should be even shorter, and the head is generally the right shape from the profile, but from the front it is too wide. The skull should just be more narrow. But besides that, there isn't too much obviously wrong with this. If you want a slightly more in-depth look at that, I highly recommend looking at the Your Dinosaurs Are Wrong episode about this figure in particular. Just look at that spectacular texturing and paint. I mean, that is just beautiful. I feel like this figure was made kind of right in a sweet spot for Papo. Some of their recent figures, like the Baryonyx, haven't actually been this well detailed, especially when it comes to the paint job, more than the sculpt. But then some of their older figures, they just hadn't really gotten a feel for the sculpting quite yet. Some of their older figures don't even have individually sculpted scales, which is a really weird concept considering we get that with pretty much all of their figures now. But this figure is just some of the nicest looking detail that I could imagine putting on a dinosaur figure. I mean, just, ooh, all the large scoots down the toes, and beyond that, all the stretching skin and muscle. You know, when it comes to specifically the muscles and the bits of skin that are folding and stretching and wrinkling and whatnot, I mean, that's some really important stuff for this particular figure's pose, and it was done exceedingly well. Like most, if not all, of Papo's reconstructions of carnivorous prehistoric animals, this figure does feature an articulated jaw. Inside the mouth, the detail is sculpted just as well as everywhere else, and the paint is really nice to look at because it actually has a bit of a glossy sheen, kind of replicating saliva. Probably the only real quality issue is one completely specific to my figure, and that is this bit of paint that's been chipped off the tail since I got it. But that's really not Papo's fault. That is just a bit of shipping damage, and it's really not a big deal. Now, when it comes to size, I will just quickly bring in my usual Safari Eutyrannus and Papo Allosaurus, just to give you guys a bit of an idea of size. But I mean, this figure has been out for years, and I think most people probably have it, or at least have seen it in person, or at the very least have an idea of how big it is. So I don't think this is too much of a point that we need to hit on too hard. The more I look at the paint job, the more I really like it. Even though it's very subtle with all these sort of, you know, dark muted earth tones, it looks really natural and just very aesthetically pleasing. It's not super bright, it's not super eye-catching, but it's probably fairly realistic. It looks like it could actually be a large predator's camouflage, and beyond that, it's just very nice looking. So my rating for this figure is an A+. I think it's gorgeous, so well done, no obvious quality issues, the detail is fantastic, and for Papo anyway, the anatomy and the accuracy is solid at the very least. Thank you for watching, and BionicleSaurus signing out.